running to Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Badlands Media Special Memorial Day show. It's our normal Basis Conspiracies time slot, and right now our normal Basis Conspiracies host. We might be joined by some other people if they show a little initiative tonight. But
are you guys team players or what?
Yeah, I just still keep thinking back to Jordan last Friday on Liberty Den. It's like, yeah, I'll be there about 9:35, and didn't show up the entire show. But he did say he might pop in tonight, so we'll see. But anyway, Zach, how are you doing this fine Memorial Day? I know you're at the beach for a lot of it.
I was at the beach, yeah, and I don't know if it's really translating through the monitor here, but I look like a Moroccan. Like, I am that dark. I got home today and translating. Yeah, I fell asleep for a little bit on the beach, which is like one of my favorite things to do when I have nothing else to do. Lisa and I went and laid out. We went to Flagler Beach, and there was a lot of people there, and we didn't think we were even going to be able to find a parking spot. Our favorite beach is Matanzas Beach. If anybody here is in Northeast Florida, if you guys know where Matanzas is, it's in St. Augustine, Matanzas Inlet. It's gorgeous. John, if you ever come to this area, this is a place that you've got to go. And it's just amazing. It's beautiful. So much beach. And then there's like this little area where people, like the locals, will launch their boats into the intercoastal waterway. But yeah, we were able to get a parking spot pretty easily and just went and chilled out, went in the water for a little bit and absolutely loved it. And of course, you know, we had a day of solemn remembrance for the men and women who have sacrificed their lives in service to this country, obviously.
Absolutely. That's what this day is all about. You know, I had a pretty good day too with my kids. Have my kids this weekend. And you know, it is kind of interesting. There's you know, we were driving around town, we were doing a bunch of different random things. And when you think Memorial Day, you know, the reason we have it, there's not many people I would say that truly celebrate it other than those that have been directly affected by you know, a death of an armed forces person. Did you see the tweet from Ilhan Omar?
No, but what did she say? Something about some people doing something or something?
Let me find it. It was a Memorial Day tweet. And hold on. I gotta find this because I don't want to butcher it either.
Somebody wanted to know what's up with the flashing lights. To be honest with you, they're broken. And I just, every time I try to fix them, they just go back to the flashing. I can't afford to buy new ones yet. And so at some point they'll be fixed.
Oh man.
Just give me a couple of weeks.
Who's the guy who runs Babylon Bee? Is that Seth Dillon? Yeah. I think he was the one. Okay. I hear. Got it. 1 second. I'm just going to share my screen. And full disclosure, I'm not even 100% sure if this is a real thing, but it's so believable that I had to share it. On Memorial Day, we honor the heroic men and women who served our country. We owe them more than our gratitude. They have more than earned access to quality mental health services, job opportunities, housing assistance, and the benefits they were promised.
Too bad all that's going to illegals now.
Well, no, Memorial Day is about people who've passed away.
Yes, yes, they have.
So how would they get any of those things?
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. But I'm just saying. I
get what you were saying, but still, it's just funny. Yeah. But anyway.
No wonder she deleted it.
Was it deleted? Oh, yeah.
The post was deleted.
I see that now.
Oh, that's so funny. I mean, it's bad on two accounts. She has absolutely no idea. Second of all, she has absolutely no idea.
Yeah, and she had to sleep with her brother to even get into the country. So whatever.
Worse, she married him.
Yeah, I guess the sleeping part, I don't know, but
they could have been sleeping together willingly for all we know.
Terrible.
I mean, pickings are slim over there.
Terrible. Anyway, thank you for everybody who's coming over from Hindsight 2020. I hope that was a good show. I didn't get to catch it this week, but this Rumble raid feature is pretty cool. Now that we can do that, it reminds me of the Twitch days.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you don't still stream to Twitch, do you?
No, I got fucking deleted from Twitch. Pardon my French. Thank you, Media Matters. But that's okay because many of them just got fired. The ones who were streaming or crawling through my streams every day, they're all gone now.
Ash is in the chat, but not on the stream.
What's up, Ash?
Oh, G Money's in the background. What's up, man?
Yo,
When'd
What
you
up,
get here?
boys? What's
How long
going
you
on?
been waiting?
What?
How long you been waiting?
Oh, I just popped in.
Okay.
What's going on, boys?
Not
Good
much.
to see you.
What's wrong with you? How's your Memorial Day going?
It was good. It was good. Pretty chill in SoCal. Sunny. Sun was out, and yeah, nothing. Kind of lazy. So, nothing too exciting to report back. It just, Bitcoin hit 70K for a quick bit, and that was about it. So,
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing.
I was actually gonna say, like, how long before he brings up Bitcoin, and you
I
asked my
purposely
best
did it
expectation.
real quick just to trigger John.
I
No, I
doubt
mean,
it's
I think
gonna
the
be-
funniest thing that happened though was Trump absolutely dropping Moabs on the Libertarian fucking convention.
Oh
That was
yes,
dude.
that was so funny, dude. He came in there, like, dropped his big nutsack,
yes, he
and
did.
then like let them all look like idiots and exposed all of them. I thought like it was some other kind of op, but it was definitely an exposure op. And then they selected the guy that like supported lockdown, supported Antifa, hates Donald Trump. It seemed like such an op at the end of the whole day.
He's also a big drag queen story hour and BLM supporter.
Is he gay too? I heard.
You know what? Hold on. Let's actually check that. I mean, he kind of looks gay. Yes, he's an openly gay former Democrat. You called it. God. Oh, you guys. I actually have some stats that I wanted to, some disturbing stats that I wanted to mention to you. I watched this show called A Crowded Room. It's about this kid who got molested and he's got multiple personalities. Okay, really tragic. I'm not sure if it's a true story or not, but I just thought, I wonder, like, how many people who are molested end up becoming gay when they grow older, because it's something that I've definitely heard about, and it's actually about 50%.
Is it that high?
Yeah, it's about 50%. Even more disturbing, and this is not an indictment of the homosexual community, but 82% of the adults who molest children identify as somewhere on that LGBT spectrum. So it just goes to show you that there is a direct through line between the abuse of children and then behavior as they grow up. And it calls into question even more the left-wing agenda to groom those kids. I mean, like, it goes without saying at this point that this is not something that is benign. All right. This is a clear and present danger to society, because children, obviously the most vulnerable segment of society, they deserve our protection, and nobody deserves to be pushed into any one lifestyle. But that's so confusing for a child, because they associate the love and sex at such a young age, and then they grow up, and then there you go. Now, to kind of quell the fire that I set with the 82% number, only 12% of those who are molested end up growing up to actually commit abuse themselves. So it's a rather small percentage, but it just goes to show you that it is a powerful association that's made, and it's something that cannot be allowed. So anybody out there who supports that sort of stuff, the drag queen story hour, the grooming of kids, the LGBTQ indoctrination of children, they've got a clear agenda.
Well, I mean, it's worse than that. It's actually like, it's actually abuse, right? Because, the people that are like these transgenders and stuff, like, they're mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
They're sick people. I feel really bad for them, but it's the state and it's propaganda that says, oh no, you're okay. It's just, you were born in the wrong body or some bullshit like that. And these people have like such a high rate of suicide. It's insane.
Well, it's because once they do the surgery, there's no going back. I mean, you can always get implants taken out. You can get fillers dissolved. But once your cock is gone, okay, all bets are off, okay? Like, there's no reversing that, it's awful.
I was at a wedding this weekend, and I ended up talking politics with this dude for a while, like probably half an hour, just talking politics. He was super based, super well spoken. He lives in Minnesota. He was like, yeah, I keep getting asked to run for local office. I just don't think I'm ready for it yet. I think it's a losing battle in Minnesota where I'm at, and I don't think it's like I'm in the right area for it. Not yet, anyway. Not with the election fraud stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking in my head, like, man, this guy's so based, so well spoken, so intelligent. He almost reminded me of like a Chris Paul. And I was like, I should like bring this guy on, like give him an interview or something, just see how he does on camera. And then we were talking further, and he's like, and also, being in Minnesota, I'm also gay. And he like pointed out his husband was there, but he started going into like the agenda of the left and how he's like all against the transgender stuff, all the grooming stuff, and like everything, like the most gay person or most based gay person I've ever met. And it just got me thinking about the liberal agenda and this push that they've done. They've gone so far left and so far insane. Like they've literally crossed a threshold into insanity. And the stuff that they're promoting to me is an actual, like, it's mental illness, like some of that stuff. But I think they do it. And they do this with everything. They go to the extremes so that they can say they're fighting for everybody, so that they, they think that they can rope in like the average gay person, like the guy I was speaking with at this wedding, because they're so far, like they're so openly for the most extreme gay stuff. You know what I mean? And they do that with every item, the race stuff, it's everything.
Well, it's they I think they look at themselves. First of all, the ones who are pushing this are mentally ill themselves, and they perceive everyone who identifies on that broad spectrum as being in the same class of individual as they are. However, it's a broad, population. All right. Not everybody is exactly the same. And it's even the same among conservatism. But so they think that they're pushing for this and that everybody is just going to accept it who identifies on that spectrum. But it's so radical. And as I pointed out, not everybody who is involved in that lifestyle is a hedonistic, disgusting person, right? People have preferences. It's America. I'm not going to begrudge them that. It has nothing to do with me. It's when they start doing it to my kids that it's a problem.
Yeah.
And
this guy even said that. He's like, they go after the kids. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, exactly. And so as a result, they have pushed people so far away from who they are and what they're representing. I actually saw some numbers today. Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden by 21 points across the country. Okay. That's seriously like a 19-point swing from what the mainstream media was saying like 30 days ago. Like, as far as I know, that is the biggest jump at this point in a presidential race, certainly in my lifetime. And I think that it goes to show you that how extreme their agenda is really doing us a favor, right? It's appalling. I think that it has galvanized America to stand in opposition to it. And I think that's wonderful. Of course, damage has been done up until this point, but it shows you that the game isn't over yet. We still have time to stop them dead in their tracks.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things though that Trump did at that convention was he brought up Ross Ulbricht, right, and commissioning his sentence.
Mute him, yes.
And so not a lot of people understand this guy's story. You guys, this guy, the FBI made up charges against him that he was hiring people to murder people, right?
Yep.
Like literally fake charges. And that is what got him caught up. And they eventually dropped those charges, and he got put away for I don't know how many life sentences, but this was the Silk Road. This was the Bitcoin, right? They were using Bitcoin to anonymously over Tor browser, buy drugs, buy all sorts of things. And so when Trump dropped that Moab, that's a direct link to it's a direct link to Bitcoin for one. But the other thing is that it really dug deep into the Libertarian Party.
Absolutely.
He dropped a major Moab with that Ross stuff. And I think people are overlooking how big that statement.
That was the number one takeaway for me. I mean, did you? Yeah. I'm sure you saw how many people had free Ross signs out there in the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hold on.
And can you guys? One more point. Don't forget, the FBI also stole all of Ross Ulbricht's Bitcoin too. And
okay. Can you guys elaborate a little bit more on the story? I'm not familiar. And what you said, G, it didn't really hit home with me.
Okay, so the Silk Road, when Bitcoin first came out, right? This guy Ross, he said, well, shit, if we've got this anonymous digital currency, I'm going to put up this independent, kind of like an Amazon or something, but it's all peer-to-peer, and people could anonymously pay for drugs. You could buy shrooms. You could, before any of this stuff was illegal, right? In 2011.
It was the biggest clandestine market on the dark web.
Okay.
Correct. And so you could buy all these illegal things. And so he had a lot of Bitcoin. You could only usually transact in Bitcoin. And so these guys are buying all different types of stuff. He hired these other people that worked for him. You know, some of his Bitcoin got stolen. The FBI got involved and like tried to get really close to him and try to figure out who he was. They finally did. There's a good movie on it called The Silk Road that's actually pretty interesting. And then, yeah, he was in a library and the FBI did some sting operation while he was at his laptop because they had to get his laptop while it was still open, or else his encryption would have never got into his laptop.
He forgot to turn his VPN on or something stupid like that. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the FBI, I'll read it right here. The FBI, let's see. When Ross was arrested in San Francisco in 2013, he was sent to NYC for prosecution. At his bail hearing in New York, prosecutors alleged that Ross planned murder for hire on 6 people he had never met and claimed that he was too dangerous to be granted bail. Yet when Ross was indicted a few months later in early 2014, the allegations were absent from the indictment. Later, when Ross's trial took place in New York City in 2015, the murder for hire allegations were still absent from the charges. The New York City prosecution never charged Ross for murder for hire, and all the charges at trial were nonviolent.
And here's the thing is that every single time Ross's name is brought up, they will always mention this murder for hire plot, even though there was no mention of it in the fucking trial.
Correct. Yeah, that's all they say. He was trying to kill people. He was trying to kill people. He was trying to kill people.
Yeah, just never the guilt by association, just for the people.
And so why is this such a big thing for libertarians?
Because it was
a free open marketplace, and Ross has been in the news for a long time. He literally makes recordings from prison. He gets thrown in the hole a lot. Like he makes these recordings. He dropped a video at Bitcoin in Miami, like at the conference. They played a large video from him. He's also very like kind of associated with like Assange a lot of the time, and Snowden. So it's usually those three: Ross, Assange, and Snowden are kind of like the three libertarian, gods in a sense that those guys pay attention to. But Ross was a like, he could have said Assange and Snowden, but like Ross was like the key there to that whole thing.
Wow, that is interesting. I did see the part where they were like booing him.
Oh, that was a lot.
But Trump was like, well, okay, that's fine. Actually, no, I'll just play it.
He was like, keep losing.
I'll just play it.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for president of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting you 3% every 4 years. Reason so.
Oh man.
Politics are
That was great.
So good.
You know what's funny about that too is that Trump never even registered to be able to be nominated for that thing. So know it was a total exposure op. Like he only went in there to drop his nuts and then freaking walk off like that. It was freaking amazing.
I mean, like just the fact that he was going a candidate for another party going to speak at the Libertarian convention, like never happened before. I don't know that it's happened at any other convention that somebody from another party has come in, but certainly nobody has ever given these guys the time of day. And, there is a lot of commonality between the two parties. I mean, like, a number of different positions that I think that we can find commonality on. Certainly, limited government, obviously. I mean, that's like the biggest thing for me. I mean, I voted for Ron Paul many years ago, and big time Ron Paul supporter a couple of times. So if it wasn't for Trump, I'd still probably be, considering myself a libertarian.
Okay, it's interesting. Ash sent me a text. He was nominated, but it failed because he didn't have the right paperwork. But he's in there. He's in there telling them. Hold on. He was in there telling them. This is my point. He was in there telling them, nominate me if you want, whatever to win. But he didn't even have the right paperwork. He knew he was never going to get nominated, but he was saying all these things about nominating him.
Of course.
Yeah, but he also truthed out that the reason he didn't fill out the paperwork is because he's not allowed to per the Republican, like to be the nominee of the Republican, you can't fill out any of the paperwork with another party, apparently.
Right. But he knew that before going in there and giving that speech.
Exactly.
He did.
Exactly.
He did.
So it was a total exposure op. And then RFK went in there, he dropped some Moabs. It was like Moab City. And then they nominate the biggest gay retard they could find.
Well, and then on top of all this, like, so Trump is trying, like he's crossing the aisle to the Democrats for sure. He's going to the Libertarians. Biden is out there calling Republicans like domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and he's not even campaigning at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, just think how many people that were at that convention are going to have listened to Trump's speech and now see who the party actually nominated. And obviously all kinds of reporting on this event. It's unprecedented. People are paying attention. They're going to walk into that voting booth on November 5th, and they're going to say, God, do I really want to just toss my vote away? Or do I want to vote for somebody who I align with 60%? Or do I want to support gay drag time story hour and BLM?
Well, and that's why I think like the whole Libertarian Party is a joke, right? It exposed it being fake and gay for ever. And this was like the final straw, because like Zach, like I would have voted for Ron Paul too if Trump wasn't around, because and libertarians like us, like me and Zach, we don't show up to stupid events like that. Like libertarians mean like you don't actually even have stupid events like that, because those events themselves are anti-libertarian to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was funny, because they just came in there and dropped so many truth bombs and then just like pieced out knowing they wouldn't get the nomination. So
yeah, man, it's great stuff. I just love, he's so funny. He's almost getting funnier with every stop that he goes. And I wonder if it's because his confidence is just increasing.
I think so.
Everything he does, and his lead too. But before we go on, we should get a quick word in from our sponsor of tonight's show.
Okay.
For those who weren't here on, I think it was Liberty on Friday is when I first talked about it. We're switching up the way we do our advertising and sponsorships. And so most of the time, we're going to do this one sponsor a show, maybe two on occasion, depending on the show. But tonight's sponsor, we have Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance, our good buddy, Mr. David Becker. I'm just stalling, trying to wait for this video to load because I forgot to load it beforehand. But he will be at the next upcoming conference in Deadwood. They've been to every conference so far. But Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance, are you paying too much for your health insurance? The high cost of medical insurance is about to get more daunting, but Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance has the solution. For over 30 years, David Becker has been helping small businesses get the best possible PPO coverage at affordable rates. Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance is pleased to announce the addition of new United PPO plans in addition to the Cigna policies. Whether you're a sole proprietor or an employer with a larger group, there are proven ways to reduce your costs and get the best coverage available. David Becker and his son Jesse are here to help you get the best possible PPO insurance at the lowest possible rates. So call 609-577-8557 or visit badlandsmedia.tv/Becker. That's badlandsmedia.tv/Becker. If you have health insurance and are paying for it yourself, there's no reason you shouldn't call and at least get a competitive quote from somebody in our movement.
David Becker's such a cool dude. He's a cool dude.
Great guy.
Thank you for sponsoring the show, Mr. Becker. All right, now what do you guys want to talk about? We can keep talking about the libertarian stuff. What Bitcoin stuff did he actually say? Was this the central bank digital currency thing?
Yeah, well, look, guys, like he talked about protecting self-custody, protecting Bitcoin, and not allowing a central bank digital currency. Like this was massive, actually. He came out huge for Bitcoin in a way that I never thought possible. We've got Michael Saylor, right? One of the biggest Bitcoin CEOs out there of MicroStrategy that has like over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin on his public balance sheet. And so the cat's out of the bag at this point, guys.
Okay, well, I got a bone to pick with you real quick before I show what you just said. My interpretation of your view of Trump prior to this, like him coming out in what appeared to be very pro Bitcoin stance, is you weren't like you didn't care for him. You're like, keep going back to your God Kings, all these things. You were a big RFK fan because of all the stuff that RFK was saying, and now Trump has come out and says all those things. So,
but I did say, if Trump wants to be a serious candidate in this election, he will have to pivot to Bitcoin, and he did. So I said this months ago. No, I said this months ago. I said, if Trump wants a serious contention at this election, he's going to have to pivot to Bitcoin. Literally.
I totally disagree. Like, I mean, I totally agree with the Bitcoin stuff, but with just even the adoption rate of Bitcoin,
it's even crypto in general, right? Like the crypto army that Trump talked about is actually a lot more massive than you guys probably think. And it's not just an American thing. It's actually a worldwide thing, right? We always talk about the world is watching this. I would say the adoption is well over, way more saturated overseas. But even Trump, look, he said there's 50 million crypto people in America. That's a huge, huge chunk of Americana that he had to pivot to. And I said months ago, if Trump's serious, he's going to have to pivot to Bitcoin. And he did.
I think it was inevitable. I mean, the move to Bitcoin and crypto in general has been brewing for years. I've been following this since the very beginning. And I knew that this was the future. I mean, Trump had to do what he did at the Libertarian Convention. I think it was the perfect place to do it. To specifically call out, no central bank digital currencies in the United States of America. Vote for Trump if you want to protect Bitcoin, if you want to protect crypto. I mean, there was no way that he wasn't going to. I just think that everything he does is perfectly timed. And I think that doing it at a libertarian themed event made the most sense. I mean, certainly I think that it was one of the and the Ross stuff. I mean, crypto and Ross at that event. I mean, I can only imagine he converted a ton of probable libertarian voters at that event because I mean, there weren't that many people there, like truthfully. But I mean, I don't know how many libertarians you have registered throughout the United States. I mean, maybe 1 million or something like that. I mean, it's not that much, but I mean, that's sizable when you take into account all of the votes that we're trying to bring in. I mean, this is got to be a coalition, I think, across America, crossing boundaries.
I still think 2024 is going to be a rug. Not that Trump isn't going to win. Like, he's going to obviously get more votes, but they're going to steal it again. I legitimately think they're going to steal the election again. Imagine Kamala Harris up there overriding states' votes and maybe applying the votes to Biden instead of Trump, right? Picture that. Put that background versus Pence, who actually supported like the votes of each state, right? Where we thought he was going to maybe do something different. So I think we're going to see this entire proof of stake, right, government that we have totally reveal itself to where the populace is like, okay, now we know for sure it's rigged, because there's still a question mark in 2020 for a lot of the population. And that question mark, unfortunately, for normies has to be eliminated. We need a majority of the people in this country to realize elections at this point are still fake and gay. And I think this is the final push that is going to get all these people, the crypto bros especially, because they are very active on Twitter. They're some of the most active people out there. Mm-hmm. They are pissed. They are so pissed. I've never seen people so pissed off at Joe Biden for a specific. And these are former lefties, John. These crypto guys, a lot of them are like, they're vaxxed and boosted, and they're not that smart. But
okay,
Trump is absolutely getting to this audience.
Are the crypto guys that you're speaking of crypto guys in general, or are they Bitcoiners? Because I know you also say that anything other than Bitcoin is shitcoiners.
They're crypto guys in general. They're not all Bitcoiners. But even the Bitcoiners, there's some lefty Bitcoiners that are like, shit, I'm going to have to support this guy now. And you're like, oh my God, these guys are complete retards, even though they're Bitcoiners, right? But watching their liberalism like leave their body as Trump starts promoting Bitcoin and self-custody. By the way, self-custody is the major portion of that too. He didn't just say Bitcoin, he said self-custody.
Here, let me play it. I don't think he actually said the word Bitcoin.
Yeah, he did. He said both words, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
I mean, that is pretty crazy, because he definitely delineates between Bitcoin and other cryptos.
Yeah,
100%. And so he knows.
There's a big difference.
You can see this small progression of, it seems like a scam, to, hey, like, I'm not really sure about it, to now I'm going to protect your Bitcoin and self-custody. Like, massive. That was a massive turnaround for Trump. And so, yeah, I'm super excited about it, because, it means that, like, this army on Twitter, by the way, he's not even on Twitter, is all supporting Trump now. And this crypto army is full of liberals, guys. I'm in it. I know it. And a lot of these guys were huge Biden supporters. They were vaxxed and boosted. And so Trump is pulling all these people in based on this stance alone. So Biden being anti-crypto is like the perfect narrative for this thing to be just so massively overwhelming for Trump. And that's why I think they're going to rug it, because it's so overwhelming at this point.
And if they do, it's like we've said a number of times, John. I mean, it's going to be the biggest possible red pill, because what he's done with each and every one of these issues is build this coalition across the entire political and ideological spectrum. And people know that they're not going to be voting for Joe Biden. They know that nobody they knows is voting for Joe Biden. And if we wake up on November 6th and they're like, oh my gosh, Joe Biden got 125 million votes to Trump's, 122 million votes, it's impossible. I don't think people are going to stand for it.
No. Yeah, and I still think RFK's got some really interesting role. I'm not exactly sure what his role is, but he's an important piece of this to some degree, because he is red pilling. What's that?
I think his role is just to distract you. He's your shiny object.
I mean, you can say that.
Easily have a part in the administration in some fashion.
Absolutely.
I don't see it. I'd bet money that he won't.
Just think about what Trump's doing right now. He's building a coalition. Okay. I just think that it would be good business if he gave him, reaching across the aisle. I mean, it just goes to show that we're Americans and we're working together to save the country from this monolithic conspiracy that seeks to destroy us. It doesn't care what we believe. It doesn't care who our party is. It doesn't care how we live our lives morally or ethically. They care about the power. And they care about destroying us. They care about having control of every aspect of our life, which is why I'm in favor of limited government and against big government, because the larger it gets, the easier it is to corrupt.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to the DeSantis play, right? He gained all that, momentum or whatever, and then he just pivoted and said, you need to support Trump. And I think that's going to be what similar may happen with RFK. And I think his role is actually very important. It's overlooked, but we don't know, right? That's just my speculation, that it's going to be similar to one of those DeSantis moves where he gets his coalition of people and he's like, look, you're going to have to vote for Trump or do something like that. So,
yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. I think at the end of the day, that's the play for anybody who's in any way come out against Biden and Trump. I mean, RFK's kind of come out against both of them. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's only one clear choice for, the future of the country and the world. And if you're still at that point willing to choose Joe Biden, you're clearly the enemy. And so, I mean, that will be the giveaway for RFK. If he was a serious candidate or not, or a good person or not, or whatever, part of some operation. If he actually comes out in support of Trump, then I'd buy it. But if he comes out for Biden, then obviously.
Well, think about this. RFK is going to be running on election day. I mean, how powerful would it be if he comes out after they try to steal it for Joe Biden, and he's like, this is a completely illegitimate election. There's no way this guy won. It's obviously Trump's election. And then everybody but Biden is saying it's clearly Trump, the American people included.
Yeah, I think you go a bunch. And plus, RFK's stealing votes from Biden. So if you want to really make Joe Biden look marginalized, right, have a legitimate candidate that's somewhat, right, conservative, but it's polling liberals. It's red pilling them. It's getting them out of the bureaucracy. But they can kind of still be in their liberal bubble to a degree, right? They can still vote for a liberal and be safe. And so that he's pulling votes from them, and then you're going to see how many more votes are they going to have to manufacture for Joe at that point.
Yeah,
it's interesting
for sure. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's only going to get more interesting too. I mean, do you think RFK is going to get on the debate stage?
I think he will.
Zach, you?
He brings up an important topics that the other guys aren't really talking about to some degree.
But that's not going to get him on the stage. He has to meet the qualifications. That's more the.
From what it sounds like right now, the only people that they're talking about allowing to debate are Trump and Biden.
Mm-hmm.
So, from my perspective, the only realistic debate that I can see is perhaps just a Trump and RFK debate. And I think Trump would be totally okay with that. But I think that Joe Biden would try to stay as far away from RFK as possible. And I honestly will be surprised if all of the debates that they have planned for Trump and Biden even happen.
Well, also, one of the funny things that's happening is they're not giving RFK any Secret Service detail. Why wouldn't you do that, right? So that narrative is actually kind of funny, because if we think this is all right, some of this stuff is planned and operations and stuff, they'd give, RFK security details. So by them not doing that, that's just, it's red pilling, or it's converting more people as well, because why aren't they giving this guy a security detail?
I mean, it's obviously an overt attempt to make sure that he gets assassinated. There's just no other reason to not do it.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And he's making a big push for it. He brings that up all the time now.
Yeah.
Has there been any other credible threats other than that one guy who showed up?
I think there was maybe one other one, but I don't remember.
That really fizzled out, didn't it? They tried to make it look like, you know, it was a QAnon, a suicide attempt, but then like the guy, they just had to push him away. Could not even talk about it after that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, how much money does RFK Jr. have?
I don't know.
I mean, he's pretty loaded, and so I'm sure he can afford, especially with his campaign, he can afford a good security team.
He's probably got a personal security detail. I'm certain of it. But I mean, there's a difference between like a group of trained Secret Service professionals that are following you around with like the help and support of the United States government and a couple of guys from Pinkerton, you know?
Yeah.
Some other interesting thing too is going on is that, you know, Jason Laurie, that Space Force guy, he's talking about how Russia is like cutting, he's tweeted something about this guy here. I'll send you the tweet, John, but something about like Russian bottom trawling back and forth repeatedly on top of the main fiber optic internet cable between Svalbard and the Norwegian mainland. So are we about to get cut off from the internet here? Let me put it in the chat.
Well,
put it in the chat for you.
That would cut off like Northern Europe, though. I mean, that wouldn't affect us here in the United States, would it?
No, I don't think so. No, but I don't know. It was kind of interesting.
Perfectly normal Russian bottom trawling back and forth repeatedly just on top of the main fiber optic internet cable between Svalbard and Norwegian mainland.
I wonder if they've got some sort of monitoring where they're scraping data from the raw backbone.
Jesus, going back and forth so many times too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty damn interesting, man.
Yeah.
And like of all the spots on that map too, that's like where they are the closest together, where it looks like the two fiber optic cables like come together or something almost. You see that?
Yeah, I just thought it was super interesting because, you know, we all know that the CIA blew up Nord Stream, right?
Yeah.
And now it's the Russians that are going to disrupt the fiber optic cables, you know. But apparently, you know,
does that feed NATO?
I don't know.
I mean, right where that's at. I mean,
that
would make sense.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, that is interesting. Gosh, what else is going on? I feel like I had another.
I had something.
Yeah.
Joe Biden took a personal trip over to his dead son Beau's ex-wife's house, Haley Biden, Hunter Biden's ex-girlfriend, just 8 days before she's set to testify against him as the star witness for the prosecution in the Hunter Biden gun trial on June 3rd. Okay. Like, he went with Secret Service. He asked Secret Service to stay outside the house, and then he went in to speak with her privately. So nobody can verify what they spoke about. And it's obviously some form of witness intimidation by my estimation. Can you imagine if, like, say, Eric Trump had a trial and the DOJ was going after him, and Donald Trump like went to Eric's ex-girlfriend's house and spent a couple hours there? I mean, like, you know, the only article that I found from the mainstream, I mean, like, you know, there's actually like a New York Post article. There's like obviously a Gateway Pundit article.
Put something on the screen.
Okay, yeah, there is a Newsweek article, and let me show you that. But that's the only one that I could find that was, you know, part of that mainstream media bundle. All right, so Joe Biden's visit with Hunter Biden witness raises eyebrows. You know, they cleverly leave off the specifics that it's Haley Biden. Now, they're also, incidentally, the 9th anniversary of the death of Beau Biden is coming up. I highly doubt that Joe was visiting Haley for that reason. I think it's a lot more likely he's visiting because this trial is coming up. But, you know, I mean, Haley is the one who threw Hunter Biden's gun into the trash can when they were on a crack bender at some liquor store. I'm pretty sure she's the one who called the cops as well. And most importantly, she's going to be testifying against Hunter in this trial. What's a little witness tampering between ex-in-laws?
I mean, that's just crazy. I didn't realize she was set to testify. I mean, I figured she would at some point, but I didn't know that was like well known. And for him to be showing up, and the part about leaving the Secret Service outside, I almost want to hear more about this, or like wait a little while to see how they spin it, because that will be the giveaway. Yeah, that's so bad. And here's a good there's a good rant or comment here. I wanted to pull up. She slept with half the men in the family, anyways. Just saying.
Hey, I mean, maybe Joe Biden is going back to.
Yeah.
Go where his son's been. I just want to feel close to Bo.
Oh my gosh. Gross. Gross, dude. Yeah.
I mean, this is witness tampering, though. I mean, by any other word, I mean, there's no way that this would be allowed in a Trump administration.
No, not at all. And I'm sure they've accused Trump of doing something like this throughout all of his court cases and like all the people he's met with and talked to. I guarantee Trump's been accused of the same damn thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to turn a blind eye to this. But let's see when she actually testifies what is said or what she says, or if she pleads the fifth, or who knows.
I mean, I can't imagine that it won't matter even if she pleads the fifth. I mean, she's already given statements to the cops. Like, she's the one who was responsible for throwing the gun out. Secret Service tried to cover it up, but like all of it's on record. I mean, there's nothing that she can't testify to that isn't already proven. I mean, it is what it is, so I mean, like, Joe Biden showing up, I mean, maybe he's just telling her, it makes total sense to me that Joe would have a foreknowledge of what questions are going to be asked of her, and maybe tell her to not remember certain things to minimize the damage to Hunter.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This judge allowing the case to even get this far shows that she's probably not a like a leftist Obama supporting judge or whatever Obama nominated. Maybe she is, I don't know, or he. But the fact it's to this point where they didn't throw it out. She's one who caught the lawyers trying to make that deal and kind of force some of this to happen.
Yep.
So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he doesn't know what's going to be asked or presented, but it is, Biden's DOJ technically who is going to be asking these questions. So maybe he does know. I don't know. I mean, this whole thing is just nuts.
Well, don't forget, didn't David Weiss also work with Beau Biden when he was the Attorney General of Delaware?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
And David Weiss was like, U.S. attorney there as well. So, I mean, I have to believe that there's definitely information sharing that's going on. I mean, David Weiss has also tried to impugn the character of the IRS whistleblowers that came forward to discuss, all of the stuff that the DOJ was doing.
You know what? Shit. That narrative would be fucking perfect right now, because you have a Biden DOJ politically persecuting his opponent, right? Trump, with all this bullshit, and we have proof that it was his DOJ that was colluding with like Fanning and some of these other people.
Yep.
But then to also have the Biden and Biden's DOJ colluding with his own family to get them off the hook.
Yes.
I mean, that would be perfect right now.
I mean, I feel like that's exactly what we're witnessing. Like there's no other way that you can play it.
Yeah. So maybe we will get some like big story out of this.
I think it's already huge. I mean, to be honest with you, it's just going to get bigger. It's like everything that we're seeing right now. Like the closer we get to the election, the more obvious everything gets. I mean, like we've been paying attention for so long. I think a lot of people get jaded and they're just like, oh, of course, I already knew all that. But like, just think about all the people out there in America who weren't on the same page as us. And now the closer we get to the election, they're like, hey, wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. Like, how are they getting away with that? And then, the only way to make sure that they don't is to show up and then don't vote for him. No, you didn't vote for him. And then when they tell you that he won, you're like, absolutely not. I know he didn't win.
What did you think of the deadly force thing that came out last week? I mean, my interpretation of that is it's kind of a I think it is a standard FBI thing where they carry around these guns, right? I think they pretty much implicitly have the authority to use them if necessary.
Yeah.
But this narrative got pushed by everybody on the right, like the Con Inc. right kind of side of Twitter, as if it was this big thing, and Trump even like kind of signed off on it and went along with it.
Yeah.
But I think it was a little blown out of proportion.
Well, I mean, I think so too. However, like there is power in the narrative.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
You need to use it. And I think that there is nothing wrong with leaning into it, first of all.
Yeah.
Because if this was anybody else, like they would have made special provisions stating like, of course you're FBI, you have the power to use deadly force, but keep in mind this is a president, so we're gonna do everything in our power to make sure something like that doesn't happen. I mean, they like went through it as if it was any other raid on anybody else's house. Okay, like to the point of bringing paramedics, to staging a triage. I mean, like they I think that they were implicitly hoping that they would be able to use it, and then they would be able to say, if they did, well, this is standard operating procedure, and it's not our fault that the Secret Service drew their weapons, and I mean, we had our orders, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that just understanding that this is unprecedented, despite the fact that the FBI may have the authority to use deadly force in whatever capacity they need to.
Bro, I think Biden checked his watch again at another Memorial Day thing.
Oh my God, show me.
Our commander-in-chief has always stood up for our troops, our military families, and our veterans. Our commander-in-chief has always stood up for our troops, our military families,
and just a different angle.
Our commander-in-chief has always stood up for our troops.
I mean, he's wearing a mask. He was wearing a mask on the tarmac. I can't tell. I think that
I've never seen that angle before.
I think maybe they're juxtaposing the comments of SecDef with Biden not giving a shit about the troops and checking his watch.
Maybe. I don't know, man. But no, did you see also Trump was on Tim Pool today, which
I did.
Mofo, but there were he said some pretty damn interesting things.
I didn't watch it. Tell me about it.
I've just seen some clips, but like, here's one.
Will there be accountability for the lying to Congress when you get to appoint your new AG, deputy AG?
Yeah, and we'll take a look at statute of limitations, because the statute of limitations are quite long, and we're going to be looking at that very seriously. Yeah.
I got one big question for you.
There's that. There's oops. There's this one.
One more big one. Will you pardon Julian Assange?
Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and we're going to give it very serious consideration. And we're going to have a couple of other things to say in the speech that I think you're going to love.
I've heard some rumors.
And you've gotten so much out of me, I should leave a little bit for the speech, don't you think?
Mr. President, it is an honor and a privilege. I really do appreciate you sitting down with me.
And you're very respected, I have to say. When I did a little research, and some of my guys said, and I've met you before, but they said just a very respected guy. It's my honor.
So where did he speak?
Well, Trump just kind of confirmed he had like no idea who he was before. He's like, some of my guys have said that I've met you before, but I don't remember. But God, Tim Pool, like, if only Trump knew what Tim Pool did after the 2020 election when he totally moved on. I guarantee you Tim Pool didn't say a damn word about election fraud.
No, he totally accepted the results. Yeah.
God, that guy drives me nuts. But hey, Trump's got to reach the most amount of people.
It's true.
And Tim Pool still has a decent audience. So
yep. And he's still on YouTube.
Yeah. Here's I mean, technically we're still on YouTube as well. But I want to find there's another comment he made about about the crypto thing. But I can't. I don't want to scroll through all that. Yeah, he that interview was today, and then also Kash Patel did one with Tim Pool, and that was pretty interesting too. The couple of clips I've seen, but obviously I'm not going to be able to find those either. Whatever. Should have done a little more show prep on my end. So my bad. Okay, at the beginning they said they met recently at Mar-a-Lago. Oh, that's right. I saw pictures of Tim wearing that beanie down in Mar-a-Lago.
Have you seen him without the beanie?
No. Do pictures of that exist?
There is one picture of him. I think he posted it to like 4chan or something, like a roast me kind of thing.
Oh my God. Is this actually him?
It's actually him. Yeah. I couldn't believe he actually posted it, but
this?
Yeah, that's him. That's him. I mean, some guys look great bald, right?
It's just,
but Tim keeps his hair. Exactly. You got to own it. But he wears that beanie all the time, and he keeps his hair at that length so that he's showing hair from under the beanie. So it gives the illusion that maybe he's got hair.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Like, I'm gonna go bald eventually. Like, it's just going to happen.
Oh,
but I just fully expect to own it when it does.
Yeah. I mean, like, I look at where my dad's hair was when he was my age, and he was already keeping it much shorter than me. I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, your hair looks good, man. Well, for your age, anyway.
For my age, fuck
off. I'm just kidding. All right, guys. I think let's get into like the rants and stuff, and then see if there's any topics that come up throughout that. If you're cool with that, man, because being a holiday, I kind of wanted to keep this a little short on the shorter side.
So somebody said he can afford plugs. I don't know that he has enough hair to do plugs on that much like space on his head.
Yeah, that's. I don't even want to think of him with plugs. But honestly, when I do think plugs, I think of Michael Scott from The Office, because season 1, that dude was balding. He was a balding motherfucker. Season 2, he comes back and he's just got these luscious locks.
Well, he also was like brushing it straight back. I don't know if you've ever tried this yourself, John, but like if you brush your hair back, your hairline is very obvious. If it's thinning, it's going to be a lot more obvious too. So just by him changing the direction that he combed his hair, that would have helped. But also, there's a big secret they use in Hollywood. They have these like hair fibers that like the dressing people will like put on your hair, and it basically bulks up the size of each individual hair. And then it makes it look like you've got more than you do. Like, remember Rudy Giuliani when he was sweating?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it was dye. I'm pretty sure that he used those hair fibers, and it was that was running down his head.
Interesting. I did not know that. All right, but
John Cryer, if you can find John Cryer from when he was on like 2.5 Men, like you look at his hair when he's on the air and he's got a full head of hair. And then like when he's doing interviews, he's almost totally bald.
That is crazy. I had no idea. 1027 JS says, Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, Joe. I've been in Fargo a few times this last couple of weeks. I think I'll be up there again probably next week or the week after. So one of these times, Joe, instead of giving me a rant, you just have to, maybe you should let me buy you coffee or something one of these times. Fred Awakening. Russ was railroaded, no doubt. Keep in mind that people were trafficking women and children on that site as well. Not just about Bitcoin and drugs, etc. Just saying. Also, Mohab. That's a good point. I mean, some sort of exchange like that is part of what we're fighting against, right? Is the trafficking for the kids. So if there's a site like that, for sure. But I think the point is, you can shut down the site, but they accuse him of trying to kill people, murder for hire, and it wasn't like what they ended up charging him with.
No, it wasn't.
Serving forever in prison.
And they didn't end women and child trafficking by shutting down the Silk Road. I mean, they traffic women and children on Facebook and Instagram and anywhere that there's an internet connection. So it's a much larger problem than just an anonymous market on the web. You know, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's much, much bigger.
Galax girl this wasn't a rant, but she says, jealous of Tim Pool, grow up, guys. No, not jealous. No. Just man, I should just mute your ass and you can go watch Tim Pool and chat in his chat. These people, like, we talk about this all the time. These big influencers who never said the right things to get kicked off of Twitter or YouTube or any of those. And at some point, like, in order to not go that far, you clearly didn't believe in the America First movement or Trump in the first place, right? You weren't willing to cross that line and lose your. You weren't willing to. You were willing to sacrifice your integrity in order to keep the money you were making on these platforms. So easily compromisable. But I just detest that behavior, and they're going to do it again. They've already done it before. They're going to do it again in 2024 when they steal the election. Those are the people that are going to be turning conservatives away from Trump, saying, "Oh, well, you got to move on." Whatever. They're the wolves in sheep's clothing. It's nothing to do with jealousy.
No. It's not about jealousy. It's about integrity.
Yes, they have none of it. Sleep state. Trump dropped Mohaps? Question mark.
No Mohaps, as far as I know.
When G-Money said Moab, not
he
Moab.
said Moab. Yeah. Mother of all
Like
bombs.
Text Jules. We had our very first Dallas Badlander meetup in Plano yesterday. Plano. It was incredible. Thank you, John, for helping to bring local patriots together. Supporting each other is so important. That's awesome. Text Jules. Glad to hear it went well. Fred Awakening. Smart for Donald J. Trump to do a spot with Tim Pool, the grifter that denies election fraud and kid trafficking. New audience. Pool can lick my taint, though. Beanie Boy can eat a bag of takes. That's kind of how we all feel about it. Fred Awakening. What is G Money wearing? Looks like he's ready for a SWAT team. I don't remember what he was just wearing a backwards hat, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was OD Green, but I don't know.
Yeah. Fred Awakening again. Who hasn't thrown a gun away in a random trash can next to a school after banging the dude snorting coke off a hooker's butt? Everyone is so judgmental. Very normal in California. You live a different lifestyle than I do, man. Fred Awakening again. I didn't create Mohap. It's a salty cracker chat thing, but like to think I brought it to Red Pill 78 and Badlands. Every time I see it in the rants, it feels so good.
You know, the funny thing is that when I was still on YouTube back in like 2019, we were saying Michelle Obama has a penis. I just never shortened it to Mohap. So I don't know.
You coined it.
I don't know who started it, where it, but I mean, like, it was a big thing on my channel back then.
Carrie Pajan says Beau Biden had Larry Sinclair arrested after his National Press Club presentation about his homosexual tryst with Obama in 2008.
He did.
That's a good point.
I've been trying to get Larry Sinclair to come on the show for a long time, and he did respond to me once. He lives down in Mexico now, and I think that he's basically like actually, I'll tell you what, he finally answered, and then like 2 weeks later he did Tucker, and then he never wrote back to me.
That's right.
Again. Yeah,
that's right. He was on Tucker.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's still crazy to me, that whole story.
Yeah.
Hogleg 71. Badlands will get a Trump interview. Keep on moving forward. Love Badlands. That's a $100 rant. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
That's amazing. And then Nevada Runner says Happy Memorial Day. And that's actually all the rants. I mean, I know it's been a short show, but it's also a holiday.
It is.
Know. What are you thinking?
I think we can go ahead and call it a night. Yes. Just don't forget. Never forget.
Never forget. And also don't forget to hit that thumbs up, guys. We appreciate that. But yeah,
before we let them go, let's just give it a try. Okay. We've got 8,000 people here and 899 likes, guys. If you're an American and you believe in America first, then you're going to hit that like button right now. I don't care what platform you're on. You're going to hit that like button. Do we also have any gold pills? We have no gold pills.
Oh, I forgot to check the boosts. Hold on.
It's okay. Oh yeah, we should definitely check the boosts.
Yeah, guys. Also, we're in the process of kind of updating how we do our merch stuff, and we're going to be getting a lot more merch on the site in the coming days, like a lot more. We're going to try to make it like a weekly thing. We get new items up there, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that, because very excited. And we're also going to be accepting designs kind of from the public in a sense.
We've got a bunch we still need to look through, John.
Yep, I know we will.
Yeah.
But so just keep on the lookout for that. We're going to be doing a lot of really cool things. Red State Farm Diva. Idea for a show or a couple of shows. The alleged murder of SEAL Team 6.
Extortion 17. Okay.
When an American Chinook helicopter, codenamed Extortion 17, was shot down on August 6, 2011, the United States experienced its greatest single incident loss of life in the entirety of Operation Enduring Freedom. Bunch of links. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, famously, it was Joe Biden who doxed them. And then a couple years later, I think it was once he became, resident, he did it again.
Yeah.
And then there was another helicopter that went down.
Yep. Yeah. Twice as, I mean, that's a pretty crazy coincidence.
Yes, it is.
Mad Dog 3852 says, not a huge fan of the monarchy, but I've always been very interested in the theories and conspiracies behind Diana's death. That would be an interesting one.
That is a good one. Okay.
Let's see you dive into that on one of the shows. That's a great one. And I think that's all the boosts. We did get a couple more
rants.
Yeah, let me check those out. Salt Muncher ODA says, thanks for coming on, guys. And then Fred Awakening says, coming on what? Salt Muncher ODA. LOL. If you don't hit thumbs up, you ain't black. Yeah. Thanks, guys, and keep an eye out. So I've done 2 episodes on our locals so far. So if you're watching this on Rumble right now, below the stream, there's a little like you can join on locals. I don't think you have to pay money for it. I think you can join for free. But if you, I do these streams, and I'm going back through the Devolution series, one article at a time, and we're just listening to Patrick read. And after he like reads some of it, I'll pause it and give commentary and context and like what's changed or whatever. We're through 2 articles so far. I'll be releasing the second one onto Rumble here probably tomorrow. But I'm going to be doing this weekly, so make sure you guys follow along and get notifications on that, because it's been a very enlightening series so far, and it's only going to get better because the articles get better. So make sure you guys are following along with us there on locals. We appreciate that, and it's a great way to support Badlands. It gets split up amongst all the hosts. So anyway, that's all I got, man. Hope you have a great rest of your Memorial Day, and hope you all in the audience do as well. And we will see you next time we see you.
Peace.
And I don't have a great outro, and I don't feel like I should play the typical baseless conspiracy outro. So I'm just going to play our intro again, call it an outro. So see you, everybody.
Badlands, what are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.